if you don't have skill yet, then persistence will get you to that point. So if you don't have money, if you don't have skill, the thing that you have to use is persistence because it's the only thing available to you. It's the only thing that you can control with time and effort.
Aloha folks and welcome back to Degree Free. I'm really excited because we are in the studio again. We have found our groove, or at least hopefully we have found our groove. We are back and better than ever. You know what's funny is I have been trying to make an episode about my trip to San Francisco for like a month now, but you've been busy and basically it's all your fault.
We're writing a book, okay? And there's a lot to do. The recording of the episodes has just been getting pushed a little bit, but I think I'm no longer a guest co-host on this podcast. I think I'm back to being the actual co-host. So I plan to be here more often.
Well, I'm not going to hold my breath. I will not hold my breath. We hope so. But anyway, glad to have you back. Glad to be in the studio. It's just like riding a bike. And let's talk about my trip to San Francisco. What should we start with first?
Okay. Ryan went on a big trip, and on that trip, he went to San Fran. He went to the Bay, and he saw somebody while he was in the Bay. Do you want to guess who he saw?
Well, I've already talked about it. If you've listened to the last few episodes, I've talked about it before. I met Drake Porter, and it was great.
What's so crazy about you meeting him in person was that entire friendship started from a TikTok comment. How crazy is that? You can make friends with people on the internet and then become friends with them in real life.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a blind date.
Oh, wow. You were a little nervous.
When we,
oh man, I hope he likes me.
God, I hope he likes me.
Even though you guys, it's not like
We've talked a bunch. We've texted a bunch. He's helped with a few things, not podcast related, like project related, as you know. It's not like he's a stranger or anything like that.
It's kind of like same, like lower stakes, but as Bradley Rice, who's another person that we've met through the internet and then met in person. It's such an interesting dynamic because you know that you're interested in the same things and you guys have talked about something that you have in common, which is why you connected online somewhere. And then you meet them in real life and you're like, whoa, this is crazy. Would you say it's pretty meta?
All right. So I'm not going to start there, even though you've asked about that. What I'm going to start is I was actually in San Francisco when they had GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference, which is the largest game developer conference in the world. I didn't know that prior to it. It was just so happened that I was in San Francisco at that time. That'll put dates on. I mean, if somebody wants to look up when GDC was this year, that'll tell you exactly when I was there. I met a bunch of people that were a part of very large games. I didn't fact check these people, but they were saying, this is the game that I work on. And it's just like, wow, those are like big games.
That's how you know, because it was like, yeah, sure is.
Yeah.
And you didn't know this was going on, right?
No, I had no idea.
I think you just went out to get dinner and there were all these game developers and you just went, oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I was there to see a couple of friends, do a few things. And one night I had by myself. I just did a few hours of work in the hotel. And then when I was done, I was like, well, I'm in San Francisco. I'm not going to stay in the hotel room. And so I just walked around, Ubered to a couple of places that I just looked up on Google Maps and everything. But yeah, I mean, they were everywhere. There's these GDC badge wearing people. They were everywhere. And so I met a few of them at different restaurants and different bars and we started talking. Yeah, it was interesting.
It's cool when you're traveling because when people go to those conferences, they're expecting to meet a bunch of different people and talk about whatever they do. So it's always interesting when you're traveling somewhere and there are a bunch of people there for some sort of work event or conference or convention. And you can just go, hey, what's that badge about? What are you doing here? And then usually they'll just give you their whole life story because they're there to meet other people and specifically talk about whatever they care about. And that's why they're there. That's a cool way to meet people.
We actually haven't talked too much about this GDC thing. So this is actually interesting. Unlike what that YouTube comment said that we did last week or the week before, you're interviewing your wife. Like, anyway, this is another testament to we don't really talk about these types of things in our regular life. I mean, we do, but not this. I didn't talk about my trip that much, actually. The GDC, exactly what you said is what happened, which is I walked into these bars and they were all wearing badges and I don't know anybody. I don't have any friends. My friends are not there with me that night. Well, I can either sit here or stand here by myself, or I can ask.
Make friends.
Yeah, I can just talk to them. And sure enough, all of these guys are in pitching mode. All of these guys are in.
Want to tell you what they're doing and why they're doing it and how much money they're making and all that stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a perfect environment.
For me personally, it was perfect because, well, I just don't like to talk that much, which is interesting. Well, I run a podcast.
Ryan does not actually like strangers very much.
Not at all. Just leave me alone.
Do.
If you guys see me in the street, leave me alone.
I'm not. I just want to know you're there, but just not where I am.
Yeah. They were talking and they were telling me about, what they're working on. And this is my company. There were a bunch of people that actually ran startups just around the video game space as well. That was really intriguing because I had never, as a casual player of video games and as somebody who's played heavily in my teen years, like really heavily, I didn't know the jobs around it, right? The vocational creativity that we talk about all the time. I didn't know the jobs that made those things possible. What was crazy was walking around, I had my other degree free hat on, and it's just degree free. It's the gray one with the black letters. And it's just huge across the top. And people stopped me and they were like, "Are you bragging about not having a degree?"
Yes.
Yeah. And I was just like, yeah.
Yes.
And then other people came up to me and they're like, "That were degree free." Said, "I like your hat, man. That's my life."
Oh, wow. That's the dream.
They had no context to it.
That's such a testament to the power of language.
Yeah, but they read the two words put together in that order and they were like, degree free. Yeah, that makes sense. That's me. Anyway, that was really cool. What I wanted to get to about the video game stuff was that I met two people. I don't want to say their names because I don't know how high up in that video game they are, but they're a part of a massive, massive video game. I was talking to them. We were talking about video game design. That these guys are video game designers, and one of them has been with that video game since the very, very beginning, and the other one joined a few years ago. And I'm talking to them and I'm thinking, I'm picking their brain like you couldn't imagine because I just want to know about all this stuff. And we're talking about video game design, and I was talking to them about, once again, my hat's a conversation starter, and they were like, "Are you bragging about not having a degree?" whatever I was like, and I kind of tell them what we do, and I'd ask about video game design and what you need to do to get into that industry. And both of them were like, "You don't need a degree for this. You don't need to go to school for this. And in fact, maybe going to school is not the best thing. What you absolutely need is a portfolio of work. You need to design video games. That's what you need to do. You need to go out and do that thing." The reason why they were saying maybe not going to school is a good thing, it had everything to do with the amount of time that you would spend learning it when you would have to build your portfolio anyway.
This is such a thing to drive home for creatives because, and I talk about this a lot. People don't know, we've never talked about it on this podcast. I was a decent artist in high school. Like I was decent at drawing. I got accepted into like a public charter arts high school and I ended up painting. I did some commissioned paint work. If you get a degree, if you spend time in college getting a degree for something creative, oftentimes you do not come out with the type of portfolio you need to get work doing that thing if that is your goal. And so it was interesting. I just had a comment on TikTok about this where a lady said, "Oh, my son wants to be a fashion designer." And she said, where's he need to go to school? And he doesn't. He needs to learn how to sew. That's what he needs to learn how to do. He needs to learn how to draw and he needs to learn how to sew. That's what he needs to do. And neither of those things require the purchase of a college degree. Go get a job at a tailor or an alteration shop or a bridal shop and learn how to do it.
I couldn't agree more. I asked one guy that was with them from the very beginning, or at least very, very early with this video game. I said, "Hey, can you come on the podcast and talk about it?" And he said yes, but I don't know. It's been a month and I haven't followed up yet, mainly because I don't have any time to schedule.
We have a backlog of podcast guests right now. We got to schedule.
Well, it's difficult right now for you.
We got a lot going on.
It's difficult for you and me right now to sit down and schedule. It's super difficult for me to schedule with somebody else right now. We're pushing a lot of projects out. But anyway, I'm trying to get him on the record to come and share his knowledge about this industry.
Yeah, so many people are interested in the animation and game design because it's so big.
It's one of those things that I think it's one of those industries that it's clearly play. What I think a lot of people think about it is that it's clearly fun.
Yeah.
It's 100% leisure for the most part, unless you're a Twitch streamer or a Kick streamer or competitive person. But for the most part, the consumers that are consuming it, it's completely leisure. Yeah, I think a lot of people want to do it because it's a fun industry to be in. What's funny is the awkwardness. So just for those people listening, I am always hustling for you, the listener. I am literally always hustling to get guests onto this podcast in person, not in person, you name it, I do it. You have no idea how difficult it is to transition a conversation from, oh man, we're having such a great time. This is great. So you want to come on my podcast,
Hey,
bro?
Hey man, you want to come on the pod?
Like, yeah, so I have this thing I do sometimes with people. It's a podcast.
It's like asking somebody on a date.
No big deal. And
Just come tell me your life story for an hour.
but it's funny because my conversion rate, I'm telling you, but you don't really need to know this. I guess I'm telling the listener, is that my conversion rate on these in-person to podcast guest ratio is atrocious. It is.
I don't think you've had a single one come
It's
through.
absolutely terrible. Yeah.
Probably because it's the medium. If you meet them online, they're likely to do a thing online. If you meet them in person, now you have to convert them to something on the internet.
Yeah. I regret not doing an in-person podcast with Drake when I was there. I wish that I had made more time to do an in-person podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we could have just done it in my hotel room or something like that. You know, we didn't do it. It worked out. It was fun. And so I guess I'll just transition into talking about that. First, I will say, I'll put a bow on the I work hard. So guys, share, review the podcast, do all those things. Bigger this podcast gets, the better guests we can get.
We have a list of big guests we'd like to have over time.
Anyway, I met up with Drake Porter. He picked me up in the city and we went to the Meta campus. That was crazy.
Yeah. I'm very jealous that you got to go.
It was awesome. It was really, really cool to see. I mean, we were walking down like Main Street or whatever. I don't really know what it was called. For all those people that have been there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We were walking down Main Street and I'm just looking around. I'm just walking down. We were talking story. We were talking. And I just looked. I was like, dude, this looks like Disneyland. And he's just like, well, funny you say that. The guy that designed Disneyland, like, designed this. And I was like, oh, all right, well, he did a really good job.
Yeah, when you were telling me about the campus, it was pretty crazy, pretty wild.
Yeah, it was insane. I did want to comment on what you were saying earlier and how crazy it is to network on TikTok or just in general online. I mean, of all places, that's where we first met. We did a couple of podcast episodes together. He helped us on a project. We've talked many times. We've texted many times. And then we finally met up in person. So, I mean, that was really, really crazy. I mean, and it's just a testament to how quickly your life can change. Drake, 3 years ago or so, go back to the first episode. If for those that don't know who Drake Porter is, I should just stop here. Go back and listen to his episode. I'll put the links to his episodes in the show notes, degreefree.co/podcast, and you can get all of his backstory there. But 3 years ago or so, he got let go from his job when he was in the interview process with Meta and focused his efforts on getting hired at Meta. And here he is. Here he is giving me a tour of that place. Here I am. I used to be a fireman, and here I am
walking on the Meta campus.
Yeah, walking on the Meta campus with this
friend that we met on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and then another friend that I met up, because I met up with a few friends there. Another friend that I met up with, I think it was 5 years ago or so. He moved. He had no job prospects or anything. He's originally from the Bay, and he moved back to the Bay. He ended up taking a coding boot camp, got hired at one of those FANG companies. He quit that FANG company job. He went to go work at another company that you would know of. It's not as big as FANG, but he got paid more money at the other company. And then he quit to go work at another company. And now he's doing great.
I remember that because that was the first time I'd ever heard of a boot camp. Yeah. Actually, that was the first time I'd ever heard of one, because back then that was like early days of those where they were becoming big. I mean, I know they existed, but I think it was coming more into the mainstream at the time.
I think that's more accurate, which is coming more into the mainstream. Whereas if you say, oh, I went to a boot camp, now the default is that, oh, you went to a coding boot camp?
Because it's so common.
But before, prior 5 years ago or so, it was like, oh, I went to a coding boot camp. Like, oh, and then maybe it wasn't in the vernacular yet. And so maybe it was just, oh, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean.
His story was crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah, his story's pretty wild too, actually.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I've asked him before to come on the podcast. I mean, he has a degree. He actually did get a job in that field, but then he doesn't work in that field anymore. He, by his own admission now, at least now for his job, he's like, I don't need my degree to do my job. That's not necessary. As far as how quickly things can change, I mean, this goes for everyone, right? Like young adults that are trying to figure out what to do after high school, career changers that need to move from one industry to another industry, entrepreneurs that are trying to start or grow their business. If you just keep at it, your life will absolutely change in a matter of years. Like I talked a little bit about a few short years ago, I was a fireman. And at the beginning of this show, I was a fireman. If you go back to episode 1, I had baby face. I didn't have the beard.
When I look at those early episodes, you look very young.
Well, yeah, I mean.
We were.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
But then for me, it's the beard. Well, because
You had to shave every day.
I had to shave every day.
Right. For the mask, for those of you who are wondering why.
So I was a fireman. I owned a local services-based business. I never thought I'd be doing this. I never thought that I would be doing a podcast 4 years ago, like just a few years before we started doing this. I never thought that we would be doing what we're doing right now. I mean, this was not even a business. I mean, it's literally just an idea that we had. Just like, I don't know how to turn this into a business. And here we are.
Yep. And here we sit still.
It was really cool to be on the Meta campus because it was crazy to see that it's possible to build things. People built that huge campus.
In not that long of a time.
Yeah, in 20 years. People built that huge campus and the things that we use every single day. Put aside whatever you feel about Zuckerberg or Meta, Instagram, or whatever you feel about the politics of it all and everything. Like these people are evil, or I don't know, whatever you think. But just standing there, just looking at it like, man, this is crazy. Somebody built this. Mm-hmm. People built this.
Yes. In a very, very much not a long time.
Yeah. So anyway, we talked about a bunch of things. We were basically together for like 4 or 5 hours, 4, 5, 6 hours. We had a bunch of conversations. It was really good. It was awesome. But I wanted to hone in on one of the conversations that we had. Right? We were talking about doing hard things, losing jobs, and finding a new job. And he was saying it was possible. Doing hard things and finding a new job and getting a new job, or starting in an industry, getting your first job out of high school that isn't like your typical retail or your typical services business, but rather industry, food and beverage industry. Anybody can do it, which I believe, but that's what we were talking about.
I had a conversation like that too. It was when I first started going on podcasts, and I was talking to somebody on their podcast, and they just said, oh, you did this, and this. And I said, yeah, but anybody can do that. And that person did not share my philosophy. And they said, well, no. It's because they believe that they were special and that I was special. And I just don't hold that opinion. I don't hold that belief. That was an interesting worldview to come across in the wild, because you and I just don't think that way. We just don't believe that.
Well, I'll tell you right now, actually, that in a moment's weakness, I said something when he was saying like anybody can do it. I said, this is a moment of weakness, which is why I wanted to hone in on this. I'm about to go against exactly what you were talking about. I said, yeah, but you and Hannah are cut from the same cloth. I was talking to Drake and I was talking about you. And I said, Drake and you are cut from the same cloth. You guys are winners. So it's easier for you. And as soon as I said it, I was like, that's not true.
You don't believe that?
Yeah, like that's not true.
Yeah.
Or rather, maybe there's a kernel of truth there. And so I thought, okay, well, what makes a winner? Really, what makes someone a winner? And this was a tough decision. It's a split decision in so many ways. But when I really boiled it down, I said, a winner is someone who, no matter what, just doesn't give up. Just doesn't give up. If you never give up, you will win.
It's funny because I feel like I know for myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel this way, but there's all those meme pages and all these accounts that are just, hustle, just don't give up, just don't quit, just do, just blah, 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 whatever, insert Gary Vaynerchuk type, David Goggins, like, just get hard, just do it. And I'm like, I have an allergy to that when I view it in the wild. I'm like, oh my God, just stop. That's so irritating. It's so obnoxious. It's so unhelpful. But as somebody who did not have that type of mindset, actually, I don't think I've had that my whole life. I just had I could try to do that. It's not a perseverance thing. It's more of a just, yeah, sure. Like, I think audacity is a better word. Like, yeah, sure, I can do that. It's not, I just keep going. It's not really that.
And that's great. Thank you for sharing that. But at the very end of it all is that the action that you did was that you kept trying. And that's amazing. Thank you for sharing the feeling that you had and the thought process of it. And that's important for sure. I never would have guessed that. But the result that the world sees is that you just keep trying. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. What you tell yourself, obviously that matters as well. But all the world sees is that you just don't give up.
It's been a journey for me getting into the mindset stuff because, like I said, I have an allergy to that, to the slogans, to the buzzwords, to the just do, just whatever. But at the same time, sometimes I think that's what people need to hear because it really does all come down to your mindset. It comes down to, I see comments all the time that people are just like, oh, well, I saw one the other day on a clip of you and I talking about, yeah, just send your resume in anywhere. And I'm sorry. Somebody just said, yeah, you just fold your resume into a paper plane and throw it into the Grand Canyon. Maybe there's a hiring manager down there. I'm sorry. It's just the visual of it's really funny. I just commented on that. I just responded to that comment and said, I'm sure that mindset's really helped you! Exclamation point. My point at the conclusion of that is, what if there was a hiring manager at the bottom of the Grand Canyon? If I didn't throw my resume there, they would never see it, right? That is a mindset. And it's hard for me to step out and go, oh, well, I guess that is kind of just just do it, just throw it. The mindset is just do it, even though I feel like mindset as a whole is not a super helpful thing to be like, yeah, just change your mindset. But really it is more the action. It's not so much the mindset, but if you just start trying things, you don't necessarily have to have the mindset to do that, but you do have to just start actually taking the actions.
That's exactly what I was saying. That's literally exactly what I was saying, which is it doesn't matter what the mindset is. I'm not focusing on the mindset.
Right.
I'm focusing on the actions. Don't give up.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's such fortune cookie wisdom. I have that same allergy that you do as well. Like, okay, well, that's not helpful. Like, how do I win? Well, look at what you're doing now. Whatever it is that you're doing now, stop doing it, because whatever it is that you're doing now got you to where you are. And if you want to change anything in your life, then just go do other actions, but just don't give up and just keep changing and keep changing. And the reason why winners, quote, winners, end up making life or whatever hard thing look easy is because they get back up quicker than you do. After their defeats. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about
proverbial you.
The proverbial you, like anybody. Winners, they get up quicker than you do after their defeats. After they take their L's, they get back up and they get back at it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. And that's what they do. And if you listen to Drake's story, he had so many L's in his story. He had so many L's along the way. Like he lost his job. He got fired. He came from a disadvantaged background, but none of that stopped him.
I wrote down on a Post-it note in my office the other day. I'm going to try to share here, but part of it was because of you going to San Francisco and seeing Drake. And this kind of made me have this thought. And that thought was that there are 3 types of people who the rules do not apply to, who people will either break, remove, bend, or ignore rules for in life. The first type of people are rich people because they have money. Obviously, right? Money, resources, capital, whatever. The second type of person that people will break, bend, remove, or ignore rules for are people who are very skilled. People that are very good at what they do. They'll just be, oh, well, you're just really amazing at whatever that is. You don't have to be rich, but you have to be really, really good in order to get people to change things so that they can have you do whatever it is they want you to do. And the third type of person that, as you're telling this story, I realize Drake falls into this third category, is people who are very persistent. And because eventually you will just wear people down. You just wear people down. And that's what he did. He just wore it down enough to get where he was trying to go. He just put in the time and he put in the effort. And as you said, he just kept going.
I think you could just boil it down to the third one, because in order to become skilled, in order to become rich. You need to be persistent. Yeah, not all rich people, sure. I mean,
Yeah, but skilled people for sure.
there are people that inherit their wealth.
Yeah.
Okay.
But skilled people, yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right.
It's persistent.
If you don't have skill yet, then persistence will get you to that point. So if you don't have money, if you don't have skill, the thing that you have to use is persistence because it's the only thing available to you. It's the only thing that you can control with time and effort.
Hey there. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Degree Free podcast. At Degree Free, we want to help everyone thrive and succeed without needing a college degree. And the only way to truly reach everyone is with your help. If you're getting value out of this episode, or if this is your second, third, or fourth episode that you're tuning into, if you could just ship this to a friend, just click that one button and share it with someone in your contacts or on your stories. It would mean the world to us. And more importantly, gets our message out to more people who need help getting out of their current situation. If you could do that right now, that would mean a whole lot. The reason why I thought that he was a winner was because when talking to him and he was telling me his story in the podcast, he never focused on any of the L's that he experienced. Like he just never talked about it. I mean, he talked about them, but he didn't focus on them. Really, he just talked about the effort that he put in to do other things. And then like, okay, well, I just have to focus on this thing, get that done. And then I knew that if I got that done, or I thought if I got that done, then this would happen, and this would happen, and this would happen. And I was thinking for myself, like, I'm not a winner. I mean, not with that attitude.
Why don't you throw your resume down at the bottom of the Grand Canyon?
Not with that attitude, no. But I don't self-identify as one, and I'm sure that Drake doesn't self-identify as a winner either. But I don't have what you two have, or at least, once again, not with that attitude. But I'm just being honest. I don't have that. Oh, well, maybe I can do that thing. I think I'm more similar to most people. Most people don't think that. In my experience, I'll just talk from my own experience. Like, then the people that I know and the people that I've met, most people don't have that audacity to just be like, yeah, I could learn that, or yeah, I can do that. Especially when it comes to careers and jobs and learning skills, specifically skills to then get a job. You know, a lot of people don't think that, and they don't do it. But Drake, if you listen to his story and you remember, he's like, if I wanted to be a doctor, like, I can think of 10 ways, or I'll figure out 10 ways to be a doctor without going to college.
I have never forgotten that.
Like, I'm going to go, like maybe I'm going to go to the Amazon rainforest. And like, I'm going to go to the middle of nowhere and become a doctor there, but I'm going to be a doctor. Like, I don't have that. And that's what I'm talking about.
It's the way around.
Yeah. So maybe that is a mindset thing. So maybe I'm getting two things conflated. Maybe what you were talking about is right. I don't know. I wrote a bunch of this down, but maybe I'm talking about a mindset thing.
Maybe it is. Because I remember when he said that really clearly, because when he said that, I said, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I feel.
And I'm not cut from that same cloth. And look which one of us went and got a degree. Look at which one of us went and got a degree, because that's the thing to do. Like, that's what you do. Like, that's the box that you check. Like I say all the time, like, that was the only line required on all of these job descriptions and all of these job listings. It says college degree required, whatever degree it was, finance or economics, business, whatever. Degree is required. And I saw that and I'm like, yeah, I'm more of a check the box kind of guy, instead of I'm going to think out literally outside of this box.
I want to talk to the listeners really quick as a little aside here too. Something I wanted to highlight for you is that if a degree is not legally required to do the job that you are applying for, the degree requirement is a request. Ignore it at will. Ignore it if you want the job. Apply anyway. It's just something I'm going to say. And I've gotten into this with people on TikTok. They're like, well, some jobs do require it. I said, if it's not legally required, it's not required. It's requested, because they can give the job to somebody who is degree free. If they can give the job to somebody who's degree free, anybody can get that job.
The argument there is that, like, well, not at my company. Sure, it might be true.
Yeah.
For that company. The reason why I'm bringing that up of why it might be true for your company, but how many jobs does your company have?
1,000.
Right? Like, what I'm
but of all the jobs,
but of all
who cares?
The jobs,
just go to apply at another company.
Go to another company.
Yeah.
Right.
It's okay. There's one next door, and next door, and next door, and next door.
And that goes to exactly what we're talking about, is be persistent. So by definition, like, if you look at winners, I'll get off of this in a second. If you're looking at winners, there's survivorship bias. the people that you see that are successful, that are quote winners in whatever it is that they're doing, there's 10x more of them at least that failed to get there than the people that did actually get there. But in a way, it's good that we don't see the names of the failed businesses or the people that failed. Then we can focus on the people that have made it. Why? I've just been thinking about it a lot and thinking about survivorship bias, because that's the mindset that I would approach this from if I was hearing this for the first time. If I was a listener of the podcasts, like when I first started listening to podcasts, I definitely didn't have this mindset at all. And when I heard this, if I heard this, I'd be like, yeah, well, he's a winner and I'm not a winner, so I'm just going to write this off. I think it's a good thing that even though there is like survivorship bias, even that it is heavily biased to the people that have made it. If you look at all the billionaires out there that are famous and they're like, yeah, they're one out of literally million something people, hundreds of millions of people. They're one out of 100 million people. But it's good because then we can look at them and
figure out how to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, not that there's not wisdom in unpacking and studying and doing case studies on failure. There definitely is. There's a lot of value in that, but you have to know what success looks like to try to get. And when I say success too, I mean success in whatever you're trying to accomplish in your life. If success to you is having a paid off house with a garden and a dog, then find somebody who's got that and do whatever they do. Don't do a case study and try to follow somebody who failed to do that thing, right? You always want to try to follow the people who you're trying to get where they are.
If you did look at those names of failed businesses or failed attempts at trying to get to a different job or trying to get to a different career, trying to start your first career, whatever it is, if you did have those names, it would, I think, a large asterisk would need to be there, or at least a large parentheses, be like, this business failed, or this business owner failed, rather, like this entrepreneur failed, this person failed at trying to do this job right now, or they haven't succeeded here, here, and here. If you look at us and you look at Degree Free is our 4th to 7th
business.
The number always changes.
Yeah.
Depending on what we're counting as a business. But yeah, 4th to 7th business. The reason why it changes so much is because in our minds, in my mind, we had a lot of stabs. We've taken a lot of shots on goal.
Oh yeah.
As far as being entrepreneurs and being business owners for us. If you want to count all of the small little things of all the things that we've tried to build a product around and sell, like product or service and sell, every single thing that we've done, yeah, it's probably like 7, 8, something like that. If you're really thinking about like a meaningful amount of money, it's probably 4. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd say 4.
Yeah, maybe
4 or 5.
5, something like that. But every little thing, 7, 8, 9, because we've tried a lot.
Yeah, and sometimes just for kicks, because we do that.
But the thing is, the people that are listening to this, like, do you know the names of those businesses?
No, they do not.
No.
Why? Because they don't matter.
Doesn't matter. Have you ever heard of them? People listening to this?
Yeah, if you know our other businesses, go ahead and tell them to us.
Yeah, exactly. And there's one that's really easy to find.
Yes.
There's one that's really easy to find. But the other ones, if you found any of the other ones and you tell me the names and you tell me the other things, like tell me the products that we sold, that would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That'd be crazy. But yeah, it doesn't matter. We're working on this now. This is the thing that we're doing now. And this might fail. More than likely it will.
Not more than likely. There's 50-50 chance. That's how businesses work. Small businesses.
I guess. I was just more saying like me as the operator.
Oh. If anything,
I'm going to run this thing into the ground.
I'm going to run this till the wheels fall off.
So that's a long way of saying to win the game, you just got to stay in the game. I mean, whatever it is, whatever game that it is that you're trying to win at, whether or not you're trying to be a product manager at one of these FANG companies, whether or not you're trying to become a successful business owner, whether you're trying to be a video game designer, breaking into your first job right out of high school, trying to get on the right career path, trying to change from wrenching underneath a car into any other job that sits behind a desk,
or trying to get out from the desk to renting the car.
Whatever it is, whatever winning the game looks like to you, it's all about just staying in the game. And it's just about doing it and getting back up. And it is very much the actions. I mean, we kind of talked about both, right? I mean, mindset helps, but at the end of the day, it's all action. I mean, you just got to keep getting up. And that's the difference between winners and losers. And the people that make it look easy, quote, they only make it look easy because they've been failing and getting it more times than you. Eventually, it becomes second nature. They've been
Make a lot of mistakes.
and there is the very real possibility is that they could also just not care about failure as much as you do. It just doesn't affect them. It just rolls off their back much easier. I mean, that's a very real possibility as well.
I wonder if it's volume of mistakes. If you just do a bunch of things, you make a lot of mistakes, whereas people who are more careful don't make nearly as many mistakes. And so it's kind of chicken or the egg thing. But if you make a lot of mistakes, you don't really have time to dwell on them. And also they tend to matter less because you just make them all the time because you're just doing stuff. And so you make a mess all the time.
The more that you do, the more mistakes that you're going to have.
Constantly.
And then that goes to the whole Kobe or Michael Jordan. I'm not sure. Babe Ruth, we'll talk about. Of his time, Babe Ruth was the home run king. I mean, he was the GOAT. He was the best. But while at the same time that he was the home run king, he also had the highest or one of the highest strikeout rates as well. He struck out the most. Never put a ball in play. He just struck out.
Because he was trying to hit homers.
Because he was trying to hit homers.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Was it Kobe, Michael Jordan? One of the two. Somebody, YouTube comment somebody for this. When they were leading the league in points, they were also leading the league in missed shots.
Just taking shots.
Right, exactly. It's just volume.
Sports analogies are so good for life.
Yeah. Because it breaks it down and makes it easy.
Right.
Yeah. That was that. I am very, very excited that we got to talk about that. I think there's a couple of other things. I mean, I wrote down like a whole lessons learned thing. Most of it I can't talk about or don't want to talk about. But hopefully we can get a few of these guests on the podcast. Hopefully Drake comes back soon. Our schedule is hopefully soon going to even out because we are super busy right now. And so I can get some of these guests in the door. What I wanted to do now was I wanted to go over, I read the Apple podcast reviews and I have a couple of here that I wanted to read and go over.
This is turning into my favorite segment of our podcast.
Here we go. So this is from Who Played At.
Okay.
Okay.
Who play that? You play that.
Yeah. Okay. Stop.
We're done.
Please stop. All right.
It's late, guys.
It goes, headline, legit. They aren't trying to sell you anything, at least not from any of the episodes I've listened to so far. I get so tired of listening to podcasts with one goal, to sell you something. But honestly, if they were selling something, I'd probably buy it because they are so authentic. They talk candidly about their experiences in different businesses they've tried, what has worked, what hasn't, and give a lot of valuable advice. It's priceless. Highly recommend. The only change I would make is that at times Ryan seems to behave as though he's superior to Hannah. He kind of overrides her sentences or subtly dismisses her input at times. All right. This is amazing. It's a really good review. It's 5 stars. And everybody, if you want your review featured on this podcast.
Only 5-star reviews will get featured on this podcast.
Yeah. Unless you're 1 star.
If you want.
Unless your 1 star is really good.
Or really funny. Our incentives that we just gave for reviews are all out of whack. Yeah. We're going to ruin our stats.
Okay. So.
Thanks, Who Played That?
Yeah. Who Played That? And thanks for the review. It really, really means a lot. Like, it really, really means a lot. But I did want to address a few.
I'm dying.
A few things because this was such a thoughtful message.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's such a thoughtful.
You can tell they listen.
And okay, so one, they aren't trying to sell you anything. I've been very open with the fact that you and I have struggled to make this podcast a viable part of our business. This podcast has and continues to be funded by the bank of Ryan and Hannah.
Yeah, we do it for kicks.
I'll be very honest. We've helped people start businesses and consulted with other businesses for operations and marketing. And if I were advising like our own business, like if I had hired us to consult for our own business, I would look at this. I would have stopped this podcast over a year ago because the amount of effort that it takes compared to the amount of economic value it brings in is really, really low.
Probably about twice a year, we have whiteboards all over our house and we pro and con out do we keep the podcast? And every single time, even with all of the cons, and sometimes there'll be like one pro, and specifically Ryan's love of this podcast and of this endeavor has kept it alive.
Yeah. So I'll go on a little bit of a tangent here about making sure to put our efforts in the right vehicle. Like, I'll link the episode 135 in the show notes, degreefree.co/podcast, where I talked entirely of this concept about putting your efforts in the right vehicle. But I wanted to talk briefly about how we would do this analysis and how you can do it in your own life. So we're working super hard on this content for you, the listener. Each episode, from planning, researching, outlining, recording, editing, show notes, publishing, it takes about 10 man hours per episode.
At least.
Like, that's the bare minimum of what it takes per episode. But we only get a few thousand downloads per episode. I mean, sure, we're in the top, whatever, 1% or whatever.
Actually, I checked our Chartable today. We're 29 in US podcasts.
Yeah,
right now.
but the Chartable doesn't mean much. It's all about the download numbers and everything.
Velocity, right, is the word you used.
Yeah, we do better than most podcasts ever that are out there, but we don't do as well as the top podcasts out there. One, make sure to share this podcast with everyone you know.
Yes.
Do that now. Press that little button and do that now. But in comparison, you, Hannah, you can make a TikTok in 2 hours. And I'm talking from like ideation to scripting to creation to subtitling to editing, creating the video to posted to caption, all of it. Like you could do all of that in 2 hours. And from that video, you could get 1 million+ views or hundreds of thousands of views for 2 hours of work. And so when you think about it like that, though we work 5 times harder, right? I mean, 2 hours for a TikTok. And I think 2 hours is being very, very generous.
For how long it usually
sometimes it takes 30 minutes.
Yeah, strongly about something.
Right, exactly. So 2 hours to 10 hours, that's 5x, gets less than 90% of the visibility, like 99%, if it goes to 1 million. Insane. Even though we work crazy hard on this podcast, and I think the content is top notch, it doesn't matter because we're not putting our efforts in the right vehicle. Once you get this concept down, like you'll start seeing this everywhere in your life. Right? And I'm just going on a tangent about that episode 135, just because it's such a powerful concept. And this is a really, really good example of this. Literally what you and I are doing right now is a perfect example of working really hard. It's a perfect example. If you listen to my story in that episode 135, like me working really hard washing dishes. I wanted to retire by 40. So I worked really hard at being a dishwasher. Like, what is one of the things that you could almost guarantee would not happen if you become a dishwasher?
Retire by 40. That's pretty much guaranteed. Or if you're applying for jobs and you realize that when you try to just apply to jobs that you think you can get in the door and you don't get in, even though you tailor your resume, reach out to people on LinkedIn, etc., like maybe you just got to switch up your tactics here. Like maybe you got to do something completely different, even though you think that you're doing the right thing. Like even though you think your efforts are in the right area, maybe they're not.
And
maybe you need to change everything.
Exactly. Right? It could be even vice versa. Maybe you're spamming your resume and you're not seeing results. Then you might have to switch things up and go more high touch, like go to LinkedIn.
Physically go in.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is, once you get the concept down of like being in the right vehicle or putting your efforts behind the right things, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. And that's how we would do that analysis for this podcast. And that's how I just did do the analysis that you and I do twice a year.
Or sometimes more.
Yeah, or more.
If we're feeling frisky.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, you know what? I have like 10 minutes. Do you want to do a pros cons list on the podcast?
Yeah. And what's funny about that is like, I'm now going to not listen to our advice and keep going with this episode and keep doing the podcast, even though it makes no sense to do so. This is a perfect time to say a few months back, probably around the beginning of the year, Lisa reached out in the YouTube comments and she sent me an email, and she almost single-handedly saved this podcast for everyone. And Lisa, I don't have to
we love Lisa.
I don't have to say your last name. You know who you are. And to know she was listening meant a lot to me. So thank you, Lisa. And for others that might have something to say, you can go over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Write a review. You might get featured on the podcast.
You might.
Make it good. And if you have a question, if you want to ask us a question, go to ask.degreefree.co/question to ask us your question. We're going to do a Q&A episode very, very, very soon. So to support this podcast habit,
Oh my gosh.
we do have the Degree Free Launch Program. So like as far as like selling things, Who Played At said, like, we do have that. We take 16 to 20-year-olds and we make custom career roadmaps for them. We don't really talk about it that often on the show. We don't promote it that much.
We'll get better at that because we're tell some more stories of those going through the program and their parents and stuff because it's getting extremely relevant to graduation coming up in the US.
Yeah, but one of the reasons why we don't promote it that much as well is because it's not relevant to all of our listenership, and we have a diverse listenership, and I want to make sure that I get all of the information instead of this just turn into a podcast about us like hawking our crap.
Yeah.
At people.
We never have on this podcast. We really don't do that.
Yeah. Or I mean, I'm not above it. You know,
and we're not saying we never will.
It's going to have to change. Like we're going to have to start promoting things. Like we're going to have to start making money off of this thing eventually.
At some point.
Right. I mean, we can't just keep funding this into oblivion or forever. I mean, maybe we can, but I don't want to. Right. But anyway,
we'll revisit it in the pros and cons list in a couple months.
Anyway, the Degree Free Launch Program for those that have 16 to 20-year-olds, you can apply degreefree.co/launch. There, we are actually coming out with a book for that same demographic of people. It is almost graduation now, and that is why we have not been able to
do things.
Yeah, and schedule.
It's actually a set of books.
It's a set of workbooks that you can work through with your child and go over these things and
go over what their life goals are and how to figure out what job options are going to work for them. We have been working extremely hard and having extremely long days working on this thing. Like we've been sitting out in front of our garage editing until the sun goes down. It's been a haul. It's been a sprint. And Ryan and I are both really, really excited. And we're trying extremely hard to get it out in time for people who are graduating because that's a very pivotal time for a lot of people. And we can get it to seniors who aren't sure what they're going to do or rising juniors who have some time before they start the next year before summer. And so we're trying to get that up in a timely manner for parents and young adults who are struggling with that decision in the college cliff right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even have like a ask for you. I can't even point you to anywhere right now. So
we're just telling you what's going on.
Yeah, just make sure that you're subscribed. I guess if that's interesting to you, just make sure that you're subscribed. You can go to degreefree.co/newsletter as well and sign up for our newsletter. It'll be there, and then we'll announce it on this podcast once we do have an official launch or pre-order, that type of thing. But anyway, I digress. What I really wanted to get into, I don't really want to talk about all that. I needed to talk about the first part because the first part was so nice so that I could get into the thing that I really want to talk about. Let me quote this again for those at home. Quote, "The only change I would make is that at times Ryan seems to behave as though he's superior to Hannah. He kind of overrides her sentences or subtly dismisses her input at times." All right. So this review is freaking fantastic until I just start catching strays.
Bang, bang.
I just start catching strays over here.
I died reading this review. I laughed so hard.
I wanted an opportunity to defend myself.
Please come to the court.
Okay. 1.
Your Honor, with respect, you weren't there.
1, this is valid input, and I will try to do less of it. 2, I have to write this down. If you watch the YouTube video, I'm going to read what I have prepared here because
He wrote his opening statement.
So 2, I think what oftentimes get misconstrued as dismissing or overriding is me attempting to clarify your point, I'm talking to you, Hannah, and the strategy I use to deploy that is asking more penetrating questions.
Okay, I'm gonna let you finish, but so go to YouTube if you're not on YouTube. Ryan's mind works like this. My mind works like this. Ryan is the producer and the editor of this podcast. And so he sometimes has to, for your clarity, because sometimes I get lost in my own points, make sure that I am on track to conclude and tie a bow on the things I'm trying to explain and make sure that I'm actually accurately getting my point across too.
Yeah, it's not even so much as far as accurately getting your point across. You and I pretty much agree on everything.
Yeah, we do.
Like you and I pretty much agree on everything. Imagine if you tuned into this podcast, you, the listener, tuned into this podcast, and it was just a
wow, you're right.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. 100%. Yes,
it was
absolutely.
Nothing but, wow, what a brilliant idea. And you're so smart. Couldn't agree more.
Freaking boring.
it would be incredibly boring, or at least I think it would be incredibly boring. But the thing is that that's actually how this podcast would be, because for the most part, broad strokes, you and I agree on a lot of things. I mean, we're business.
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah. Right.
Otherwise we wouldn't be doing this.
Exactly. And so for me, what I try to do is I just try to break that up by asking clarifying questions, and usually in the form of like a negative question or negative or clarifying question. Like, what do you mean? I don't understand what you're saying. And a lot of times when I just say I don't understand what you're saying, I am just trying to be the audience, and maybe the audience doesn't understand what you're saying. I mean, sometimes I also don't understand what you're saying.
He's asking for his own edification. What does that mean?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that is a lot to do with it. Just trying to clarify. And the way that I clarify, like, I don't understand what you're saying, or I don't know what you mean. Those are the words that I use. And I think a lot of people can think that is dismissive. And maybe the way that I'm saying it leads you to believe that I'm being dismissive, which I don't intend to be. I'm not being. I'm literally.
I would tell you if I felt that way.
This is the third point. If you think that I override her sentences, you need to see what our life actually looks like. And what's hilarious about this right now is we're going to have to edit it out. And because we edit the show 2 times earlier already in this show, she talked over me.
I'm fighting the urge not to do it right now.
Yeah.
And it just won out. That's how we live. That's reality for us.
It's one of the reasons why I do the podcast.
It is. If you folks wonder why doesn't Hannah ever do because I'm terrible at doing it. It's something I'm working on, and I am trying to get better at it. I have been better at it. But yeah, I'm a talker, so it's difficult for me to be as good as you are at listening, asking questions, and letting other people speak. So that is the reason why sometimes he cuts me off. And he also edits, and he and our team edit, and because they have to edit every time I talk over. And it's been something I've had to learn, because the way the sound works is kind of like that. It's just an interesting thing to peek behind the curtain a little bit. I don't have to edit out my interruptions, but Ryan and the team do. So what he's trying to do is cut down the amount of edits that need to be made to the podcast raw video after we're done.
No, that's not necessarily what I'm doing. I am overriding you, sure. I'm just saying a lot of it, other people don't see you overriding me because we edit it out. And then also they don't see the things that happen when the mics aren't here, which is I never get to speak. You just want to cut in and start talking without listening and letting other people speak, just because you're excited. You're like a little puppy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
character flaw.
I just want to say something. I just want to say something. And you mean it to be additive. You do, but it's very not additive.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
While, yes, I am overriding your sentences, I'm just justifying, or I'm just saying for myself that it happens. If you think I do it a lot,
you should see real life.
Yes, exactly. And then the last thing I'll say is, like, I'm a super direct person. Sure, I beat around the bush around a few things. I think the normal things that most people beat around the bush for, like, does this dress make me look fat? Or, you know what I mean? Like, does my breast stink? Those types of things. Yeah, I'll lie to you. Like, not you, but I'm just saying, like, anybody.
Someone.
Anybody. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going to lie. Like, or I'll beat around the bush. Be like, no, it looks great. Or whatever. But when I do finally decide to tell you, I'm just going to tell you, your breath stinks. I don't know how else to say it. Oh, the odor that is emanating from the orifice that's on the front of your face.
How Shakespearean of you. We've been reading the books.
Like, I don't know how else to say it other than, like, your breath stinks. I think when I'm being direct, because I'm trying to clarify it is my opinion. The only reason why we speak, anybody speaks on this planet, is to be heard and to be listened to and to communicate a point across from somebody. And the way that I know how to do that best is to be direct. And a lot of people take that to be that I'm overriding, right? And I'm dismissive because of my directness.
So that was a hilarious that was a hilarious.
I did that. I had to make up a whole entire half segment there about putting the effort in the right place, because I just didn't want to just like go straight for
right for the jugular.
Straight for this thing here. Anyway, I want to end it on a very, very bright note. So I'm going to read one more. This is from Sarah3187. Sarah, thank you very much for leaving a review. The title is Life Changing. This podcast has been so helpful in changing our mindset and seeing so many possibilities we never even knew existed. Thank you for all your hard work making this show.
Aw.
Sarah, thank you for leaving this review. That is awesome. It's something that Hannah and I have been thinking about. What you're saying here, seeing so many possibilities we never even knew existed. It's something that Hannah and I have been doing a lot of thinking about lately, because we are writing this book and we have been talking to parents and we've been talking to young adults in the Degree Free Launch program. And one of the things, Hannah and I honed in on really early, I'll give credit where credit's due, I honed in on really early, is how can people know what jobs they want or how to get a job if they don't know that if that job ever existed, even exists. And the answer is they can't. Like, if you don't know a job exists, you can't make a plan to get there. It's that simple. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I think it's that simple. I think that holds water. I don't think that there's anything that you can say about it that's wrong. We've been thinking about this whole vocational creativity thing, and I'll put links to the episodes of the podcast where we go over this whole vocational creativity and a few exercises that you can do to expand it. And vocational creativity is exactly what it sounds like, which is just being creative about the types of vocations and jobs that are out there. And it's trying to, you only know 4 jobs right now. Like, I only know fireman, policeman, EMT, teacher. Right? If those are only 4 jobs that I know, I'm going to get one of those 4 jobs because I don't know any other jobs that are out there.
Yeah, so how would you go get a job you don't know exists?
Exactly. And one of the keys for both the young adults that we work with and also job seekers and career changers is just expanding your job knowledge, expanding your vocational horizons, your vocational creativity. Anyway, it's just something that we've been thinking a lot about lately, and we've kind of honed in on what we think is one of the biggest problems that we are dealing with here at Degree Free. Mm-hmm. It's just not knowing what jobs are out there.
It's that at the root of everything is a lack of knowledge, as with most things.
Yeah.
As with most problems.
Right, exactly. And you don't know what you don't know. And so that's exactly what we're trying to do, is expose you, the listener, to different jobs.
Or teach you how to find different jobs and the way that you can go about finding the ones that are going to work for you.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you very much. Go to Apple Podcasts right now and write us a 5-star review.
Please.
And leave a bunch of words there for a chance to get featured on this show.
On this show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you have any questions, I really do mean it. We are doing a Q&A show very, very soon. So ask.degreefree.co/question. Ask us your questions. And I think that's pretty much it for this week. I thought this episode was pretty good. I really enjoyed my trip to San Francisco, and I was really happy to meet Drake and catch up with my friends and see what they're doing. And it was really fortunate for me to go to GDC, or not to go to GDC, but to go to San Francisco when GDC was going on and meet all those video game designers. It was awesome.
Interesting coincidence. We'll see what happens from it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's pretty much it. Until next time, guys. Aloha.